concept, religion and philosophy of religion. You know Professor Hamidulla Marazi, the director, International Center of Spiritual Study, Kashmir. And he's also professor in head Department of Religious Studies, Kashmir. And he has taught more than 30 years in JNU, Kashmir University and Central University, Kashmir. Professor Maraji had visited more than 100 universities and institutions across the country and abroad to deliver talks on comparative religion, Islam, and religious dialogues, epistemology, and religious discovery. And Professor Maraji is associated with many national and international committee for philosophy and peace. I don't want to reflect upon all the things. And Professor Maraji has authored more than 40 books on Islamic philosophy, epistemology, and the world religions. And he has many contributions to the journals, international journals. Now I welcome Professor Hamidullah Maraji to comment his speech on religion and philosophy of religion. Over to Professor Maraji.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Kailash.
Professor Marazi, sir, happy Ramadan.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So nice. It is really a pleasure for me to talk to the scholars of philosophy, and during this Ramadan, and we had a very wonderful, lecture by Jivan Raj Purohit ji, and this was really interesting. And there was some talk about spirituality and mind, and then psychology and philosophy and religion. Everything was intertwined, and it was really a very good mix of many things. And mashallah, he has tried to just come out with a new understanding about this mind and soul and trigunas especially. So in this way, now I am just going to talk about religion and philosophy of religion. First of all, I would just like to again, thank Dr. Kailash Chandraji, Dr. Srinivasan Krishnamurthy ji, Dr. Ranjit ji, Dr. Avinash Srivastava, and Jivan Raj Purut ji, and others. Thank you very much. So I will be just talking about what we mean by religion first, because there is a lot of discussion on the subject worldwide, but there is no one definition about religion. At least in philosophy, we have some definition, love of wisdom. But so far as religion is concerned, there's not one definition. Everyone is defining religion as he or she wants to define. And others define for us what is your religion. So sometimes, especially in the Western context, they have developed theories of religion, and they impose those theories on Eastern religions also. And in this way, there is a little bit confusion about religion, what we mean by the term religion, what we mean by the term dharma, what we mean by the term Islam or Deen, and what we mean by Mat or Dhamma in the context of Buddhism. So I have just tried to make a comparative study of the Western and Eastern views, and then I have come out with my own views about what can be the definition of religion, evolutionary theory of religion. This is a little bit different from the Western concept of evolution, because we can't just bring everything from West and impose that on East, especially on the Orient, as has been the case with our academics. So, but my approach has been a little bit different. I'm just trying to rely on the different sources belonging to East and West, and then come out with my own understanding. To start with, philosophers have come up with some definitions of religion. For many of them, religion is man's awareness to moral law, as Kant has talked about. Religion is one form of knowing the absolute, Hegel. Religion is an illusion, a dream of human mind. The essence of religion lies in the feelings of repentance, Ritumer. Religion of humanity has replaced the worship of God. Religion is the encounter of an individual with God. Religion is based on the I-thou relationship. Religion is the bridge between the supernatural and the natural. Maurice Blundell, Whitehead, defines religion in this way: religion is the vision of something which stands beyond, behind, and within the passing flux of immediate things. something which is real and yet waiting to be realized, something which is remote possibility and yet the greatest of present facts, something that gives meaning to all that passes and yet eludes apprehension. Roger Schmidt, Exploring Religion. And these definitions have been given by many scholars of the West and East. For St. Thomas Aquinas, for instance, religion denotes properly a relation to God, for it is He whom we ought to be bound as our unfailing principle, to whom a sole choice should be directed as to our last end. Our choice should be directed as to our last end, and who we lose when we neglect Him by sin, and should recover by believing in Him and confessing our faith. He adds that religion is a virtue since it directs us to good, the supreme good, that is God. Now, Paul Tillich gives the differences found between theology and religion. He says, concepts such as revelation and redemption stand in clear opposition to religion. They express an happening only once transcendent in origin and transforming in its effect on reality, while religion subordinates that feeling. Charles Darwin put forth his theory of origin and development of species. It marks its impact not only in biology, but beyond that, and even the domain of religion was also affected by this theory, and new perspectives about religion emerged where the institution of religion was shown in light of evolution. It was shown under this theory that men developed religion according to the evolution of mankind. Auguste Comte extended the evolutionary method to predict the progress of human thought, for he believed that human civilization marched through three stages, from religious to metaphysical, and from metaphysical to positivistic or scientific. Max Muller introduced the scientific study of religion, differentiating it from theology, and based his understanding on a new, theory which we gained from the scientific discoveries and researches. And then we have people like Edward Tylor. He's a noted anthropologist of the 19th century. He provides a belief of animism, the best possible explanation for a primitive man of the events occurring in and around him could be that every animate and inanimate thing was inhabited by a soul. Now, in order to survive harmoniously, such an animated force like soul was to be revered and worshipped in objects like trees, stones, etc. James Fraser presented similar views as that of Taylor. However, unlike his predecessor, he believed that religion emerged out of magic. Human thought progressed from magic to religion and thereon to science. Thus, it was so-called scientific study about religion, which denies the prophetic origin of religion and rather considers magic as the source of religion. Andrew Lang, disagreeing from the above two scholars, views that evidence for the consciousness of the supreme creator is there among the primitives, and maintained that animism was the product of deviation of the early man, occurring in and around him could be that every animate and inanimate thing was inhabited by a soul. Now, in order to just understand that deity, there had been some other views which have been presented by the people. So, Sigmund Freud, as I have mentioned already, thinks that religion arises out of unfulfilled desires of the human being. Owing to this thing, an individual looks forward to the Heavenly Father, who may fulfill his wishes in the heavens after death. At another place, Freud links religion to one more psychic experience, that is Oedipus complex, developing at the infantile stage, commenting upon the myths found among religious-minded people, Freud, unlike his predecessors, discovered some underlying truths in such myths. Carl Gustav Jung, who happened to be the student of the former, he offered more scope to religion than what Freud had offered. He finds religious symbols as the modes through which unconscious side of the psyche speaks to the conscious part of the personality. On comparing the dreams and fantasies of his patients with the symbols of the primitives and classical religions, he found similar, experiences in them as well. While as Wilhelm Schmidt, he has talked about original monotheism among the primitives as somewhat on the same lines as Lang had perceived. Schmidt professed that the high God, as was recognized by the primitives in the beginning, was pushed to periphery and almost made to fade away from the human memory as people began to worship lesser gods, born out of their fanciful understanding. Rodolph Otto, his interpretation of religion is also very interesting, as he maintains that religion arises out of an experience labeled as numinous by him. Such kind of an experience, he said, remains beyond emotion and reason. During that experience, an individual comes across something that is wholly other, outside oneself. Numinous gives rise to mysterium tremendum and mysterium passionus, a fear and salvation. And then we have people like Joseph Walk, who followed the stream of thought presented by Otto, but he made his own interpretations of the subject. Another modern scholar of religion, Wilkert Smith, whom I had the honor of meeting in Delhi, he contends that religion emanates from the experience of the transcendent. He argues that religion is not only that what is upheld by religion, like Islam, Christianity, or Hinduism, but it lies beyond these denominations. Smith prefers thus the term faith instead of religion. He gives more importance to faith than religion. Then we have Emile Durkheim. He's a great sociologist. He considers that religion is a social phenomenon. The primitives imagined a sacred force in an animal, and he named it totem. The power attributed to totem is, in fact, the power of the community itself, asserts Durkheim. Karl Marx, as we know, maintained that religion is the projection of human wants, which in his view are attributed to the imagined figures of divine being. The oppressive capitalist regimes make use of such phenomena to promote humility and cowardice among the masses who yearn the compensation in the hereafter. So you can see how many people have defined religion from the western part of the world in their own way. Then Marcia Lady and such other scholars of religion who have provided their theories about religion. And we have people like Maniwski, who can say that, like early religious theorists, he developed a first-hand observation of the primitive people while living among the Tobrian islanders. For Malinowski, religion essentially is a way of social control in the times of the creation, death, and destruction. It is a religion that tends a helping hand and reinstates the society to the normal. And we can find such other definitions which have been provided by the people, and especially Marcia Lady. So he delves deep to unveil the meaning of religious symbols for what he terms as archaic people, that is the primitive folk, and traditional. He visualizes the element of sacred as indispensable for the phenomenon of religion. Religion, according to him, exists where our man experiences a living, powerful, and real force. Realists, as used in this context, are those who hold that their religious beliefs are about what actually exists, independent of the persons of the individual interpretations of the religion in modern times, as it is a subject nowadays being taught at many parts of the world. There are many, groups who have defined religion in their own way. For example, one group of the, thinkers, writers who are known as realists, they have used it in this context and hold that religious beliefs are about what actually exists, independent of the persons who hold those beliefs. Non-realists are those who hold that religious claims are not about realities that transcend human language, concepts, and social forms. Religious claims are not about realities out there. They are not about objectively existing entities. They maintain that religion is a human construct, and religious language refers to human behavior and experience. Some non-realists have been highly critical of religion, such as Sigmund Freud and others, as I have mentioned. In the philosophical investigations, it was Wittgenstein, and in many other works, he has talked about religion. Wittgenstein opposed what he called the picture theory of meaning. On this view, statements are true or false depending upon whether reality matches the picture expressed by the statements. Wittgenstein came to see this view of meaning as deeply problematic. The meaning of language is rather to be found not in referential fidelity, but in its use, which has been made by different people. And he has given a very interesting definition that whereof one can't speak, thereof one should be silent. And there seems something which is very much, intriguing, and he relates religion to language and the linguistic games. But when we come to philosophy of religion, so it has these different connotations. I would like to just say something about that. Then I will come to the main topic, which I have just tried to develop from the Eastern point of view and Islamic point of view. What can be the theory of religion, which we need to present in the contrast to the Western views about religion, because they are not able to do justice with our notions of religion as they have done in other cases. So philosophy of religion is the philosophical explanation of the central themes and concepts involved in religious traditions. And we know that philosophers have discussed about these topics, and it is from very beginning they have done it, and even from the Greek onwards, philosophers have been talking about religion. It can be carried out dispassionately by those who identify as believers or non-believers, and they just say that philosophy can be just philosophy of religion, can be presented by the people who may not be believers at all. Philosophy of religion is not so much religious thinking as it is thinking about religion. A thinking which can be carried on by both religious and non-religious persons. There are a number of themes that fall under the domain of philosophy of religion, as it is commonly practiced in academic departments in different parts of the world and Europe. Their focus here can be limited to 6 religious language and belief. So this is the topic which is being discussed in philosophy of religion: religious diversity, concepts of God, ultimate reality, arguments for the existence of God, and different problems which are being faced by the people, and the miracles, as well as arguments for and against the existence of the divine being, problems of evil and suffering likewise. Philosopher like L. Rowe, he characterized the philosophy of religion as the critical examination of basic religious beliefs and concepts. Philosophy of religion covers alternate to beliefs about God or gods or both, the varieties of religious experience, the interplay between science and religion, the nature and scope of good and evil, and religious treatments of birth, theory, history, and death. The field also includes the ethical implications of religious commitments, the relation between faith, reason, experience, and tradition, concepts of the miraculous. And we know that people like Kant, he has just talked about the moral aspect, and from the point of view of pure reason, it is very difficult to ascertain existence of divine being and the life hereafter, and freedom of will. But so far as practical reason is there, it governs us to such type of beliefs. And in this way, his view about religion was moral in essence. And we find that the scholars in the 17th century, they were people always talking about religion. Even René Descartes in France and John Locke in England, they were talking about religion. The significance of Descartes and Locke lay in the fact that they were self-confessedly philosophical innovators. In Descartes' rationalism, God is displaced from the center of philosophical thought and became the guarantor of the reliability of the sense experience. Locke's more modest empiricism, the view that the chief source of human knowledge is experience, led to the development of a more reasonable approach to religion, in which a reason was held to constraint any appeal to divine revelation. The English and continental followers such as John Toland, Matthew, Tyndall, Byron, and Glad, and others, they rejected tradition and hence the authority of reports of miracles and revelation. So you can see that there have been many scholars, especially as I mentioned about Kant. So he argued time, space, causation, and substance, among other features of reality, or innate conceptual categories through which the human mind imposes order or experience. There can be no knowledge of matters allegedly existing beyond these categories. Thus, there can be no knowledge of God and hence no theological knowledge. Having thus written off any metaphysical justification of religion, Kant introduced a conception of religion that arose from his idea of morality, as I mentioned already. Morally right acts he held are those aimed at bringing about the highest good, summum bonum, a state in which people are rewarded with happiness in proportion to the level of virtue they achieve. But one cannot rationally will to bring about the highest good unless one believes that such a state is possible. And then we have other scholars of the West and East who have talked about religion, and especially the psychologists, the anthropologists. And during the 20th century, philosophical interests were secularized, with the consequence that the strong link between mainstream philosophy and the discussion of religious questions was weakened. In the 20th century, and then from 20s to 30s, the logical positivists and later the non-cognitivists declared that metaphysical and theological as well as ethical and aesthetic sentences are literally meaningless because they cannot be verified through sense experience. Sentences about the qualities of God or about the nature of spiritual experience, for example, make claims about entities or events that cannot be empirically observed or demonstrated. Thus, sentences such as God is love and divine grace works upon the soul or empty of cognitive content and therefore rather neither true nor false. So you can see that how many definitions have been presented by the people, and there are different theories and different views even about the philosophy of religion. But so far as Eastern context is concerned, I feel that the very term religion is problematic, because religia it means that to unite again. So whom we have to unite with whom? And as one scholar says that basically it is applicable only to the Christianity, because according to the Christian belief, when man ate from the tree of knowledge in the Garden of Eden, so he was alienated from God and from the divine grace, and he became the person who is now an original sinner, because he committed a sin by eating from the forbidden tree. So in this way, alienation had taken place. Now he is to be taken back to God, and according to Christians, the only way for that is the sacrifice of Jesus Christ and his crucifixion. And he could only bind man back to his origin and take man back to God and get him connected again with God. So this is religion. While as when we see, so far as, for example, Dharma is concerned, Dharma has a different connotation. It is more about duty and the nature of the things as they are. And in the same way, then there are the different duties which have been assigned to different people and what we have to do in our life. And every person has a duty which he or she has to perform. And there are relations between the people and God. And this relation has been never delinquent, or there was never disconnection or disconnect. So in this way, how we can just apply even the term of religion, which is from the Latin ligere, or some people say there is no origin, as Webster's dictionary says, it is from unknown origin, whatever. So in this way, even the term can't be applied to Eastern religions. And if we take, for example, Dhamma, from the Buddhist concept, that is very close to that man is suffering, so he needs salvation. That is nirvana. I am not going into details. I am just trying to see the term and the definition of the religion from different perspectives. And if we see it from the Buddhist perspective, so Dhamma, it is also different from religion in its connotations. And if we then go to Islam, that is Deen, that means obedience, a way of life. And in this way, Islam talks about that it is encompassing whole life of man, as this whole universe is following the order of God, and everywhere there is the divine riches looming large everywhere. So man has to also follow the suit. And in this way, we find that there have been many things which are common in these religions, and whether these are Aryan religions or these are Semitic religions, there are some common concepts. But when we talk about the definition, even definitions sometimes are very much problematic. If we apply one definition or one term on all the religions, that creates problems. We are not able to do justice after using these terms with our own religions. So in this way, I feel that we need to have a new understanding about religion. And then there are different types of theories about religion. We find that in the context, there has been Al-Biruni has talked about other religions, and then Daro Shuko, and then the Bistani Mazahib, the Mullah Muhsin Fani, and others. And in our times, we have Aurobindo Ghosh and Radha Krishnan, and Tagore, and many other Indian visionary scholars and philosophers, and they have defined religion in a better way. And then Vivekananda, he has just written on his Hinduism, a universal religion. And he has given a new definition, and he has just talked about a Vedantist rather than Hindu in that sense. And every person has to believe, whoever is Hindu, he is to believe in the Vedas. And then also in Aurobindo Ghosh's viewpoint about the religion as an experience, not just a definition or just something which is theoretical, but something which we have to live. And then Sufis, they have talked about religion as religious experience, that is hal. And they say, Qal ra biguzar sahibi hal shaw, pesh marde kamile pamal shaw. Religion is not expression, religion is experience. And this point is very important. We find that also in Ghazali, who has said that theoretical knowledge will not take you to the reality unless and until you have the taste or the fruition. And he calls that zauq. So you have to experience that truth and that reality by different type of practices, by emulating different personages, and only then you can realize, and your knowledge will turn into light, and light into spirituality. And from religiosity, you have to go to the spirituality. And if religion does not lead a man to spirituality, then he is a beast. He has not controlled his instincts and his desires and his lusts. He is rather following his own lusts, and he calls that religion, or he calls that philosophy. And he philosophizes everything and justifies his wrongdoings. So in this way, unless and until we are able to control our carnal desires, so that is not religion. And then we find a strange link among all these experiences and expressions about religion. And that is this evolution theory, that there had been the religions which had been sent by God to all nations of the world. And there had been some personages who have been preaching similar things to the people, and especially so far as the doctrinal level, that was very similar. And this point has been highlighted by our scholars from the Eastern world, from Muslim perspective, from Hindu perspective, and from the parallelistic point of view. And we find Al-Biruni, when he just was studying Hindu religion, So he has come to know that this Tawheed was also very much dominant there. And then he just went to deeper into this religion, and then Daro Shukru and others. And in this way, then they found the similarities among the religions rather the differences. And here I am reminded about a great Turkish scholar whose name is Bediüzzaman Nursi, who has talked about this, that mostly the religions have emerged in the East and philosophies in the West. So in the Eastern context, there had been dialogue, there had been samvad, there had been makalama. Whereas in the Western part, all the philosophies, they talk about clash. They talk about survival of the fittest. They talk about such type of theories where there are haves and there are have-nots and they are fighting with each other. And whereas in the context of East, we find that there has been always interaction, exchange of ideas, and different type of philosophies have emerged. The best example of that is Bhakti movement in Indian context, and also then the Sikhism has also presented a very great example of taking different good things from different religions, and Bhakti movement was also very important embodiment of the same sentiment. And in this way, we have to differentiate between the philosophies of religion from the East and West. So this point is very important, and we need to highlight this in our own context and in different contexts. And I have just worked on the subject, and I have written several books on the subject. And since we don't have that much time to discuss all these points here, I would like to throw this whole discussion open for the interaction and comments and questions, so that we can just try to come out with some more details about the same. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks so much, Professor Marazi, for your beautiful exposition and on religion and philosophy for religion. And through your discussion, you have said how religion is personal and private affair, and which is the binding force and which is the way of social control, a faith in the conservation of values, and which is the state of mind. And you have very beautifully reflected on the Eastern and Western point of view of religion and philosophy of religion, from Hindu perspective and from Islamic perspective. And you have shown how a religion may be personal, but philosophy of religion is universal. How religion is a practical, but philosophy of religion is a theoretical, which is a critical examination of a religious expression and religious concepts. I don't want to reflect on all the things that you have told because of the paucity of time. And you have very beautifully reflected on the Hindu tradition and Hindu religions, citing the definition of Sri Aurobindo, Vedanta, Swami Vivekananda, and others. And with this, I must express my regards to you and my gratitude to you for your very beautiful exposition. Now, I would like to request Professor Pramod Kumar Das to carry on the interactive session. Over to Professor Pramod Kumar Das.
Thank you, sir. We are grateful to Professor Marazi for his beautiful and wonderful deliberation. It was really wonderful. What is really the literal meaning of religion or dharma? Both the English word religion and dharma mean to hold, to dharayati dharma. In also the religion, the word religion also means that to bind together, to hold together, to understand the essence. That is the real meaning of religion. Otherwise, we can't claim that we are religious. Suppose I shall claim that I am religious, that does not mean that I belong to a group or a community. That is not the real meaning of religion. The real meaning of religion is, or dharma, is to hold together, to understand the essence. What is that essence through which we can all live together? We can all come under one bracket, irrespective of the differences. That is the real meaning of religion. But in fact, in practice, we don't follow that. In practice, we focus on the differences and who is better than others. I belong to one group, you belong to another group, so there are many religions. Therefore, therefore we need philosophy of religion. That means we try to understand the religious concepts more rationally. But again, one problem took place in philosophy of religion. It became more theoretical. So both religion and philosophy of religion are out of practical living. If you are trapped by one religion, you are out of the essence. You are out of the real purpose of life. If you are only engaged in the philosophy of religion, only philosophizing religion, then somebody may be a good professor, somebody may be a good analyzer, somebody may be a good critical thinker, but that has nothing to do with the practical living. So we can claim very beautifully, Professor Marazi said that we can claim that we are religious if we understand that cardinal values, that essence, which are common to each and everybody. Even if I claim that I am a Hindu, if Vivekananda claims that he is a Hindu, then that is also not secular. That is also not the true meaning of religion. No claim, no group, no difference. We have to understand that essence. So religion in bracket is not secular. Philosophy of a religion only as a theoretical exercise is also not secular. So we have to focus on the practical living. We have to live because we are human beings. We have to understand the essence of being a human. That is the real purpose of our life. We have to understand our essence. With this, I shall request Professor Ranjit Ghosh to have his observation. Over to Ranjit Ghosh, sir.
Thank you, Professor Das. And as usual, Professor Mirazi has given a very nice vision of inter-religious understanding, I should say. Now, the thing is, in this context, if the question is asked, we should go for religion or philosophy of religion, my answer would be, and I think also Professor Mirazi will corroborate it, it is philosophy of religion, not religion per se. Because you see, religion is having two aspects. One is dogma and the other one is ritual. Now the thing is, in the problem with not with the dogma, because dogmas are to be questioned, dogmas are to be answered, and we are putting into further questions. In this way, we can have a philosophy of religion. But so far as rituals are concerned, it is not no more a philosophy of religion, but a politics of religion, I should say, which we are observing in our day-to-day affairs in the present context. Now the thing is, we have to.
You're muted, sir. You're muted.
Ranjit sir, you are muted. Ranjit sir, please unmute yourself. Okay, sir.
So we have to keep it in mind that as man cannot but be rational, he also cannot but be religious. Religion we cannot do away with from our life. So even if Freud mentioned it as an illusion, or Marx made that it is a reflex of the natural world, whatever it may be, we cannot just do away with the religion. No, so for that reason, religion is to be questioned and interpreted and all these things. So for that reason, philosophy of religion is more important than religion per se. This is what is my point of view. And another thing is this, yes, so what I was telling, I forgot. Anyway, if we pursue the philosophy of religion, then the intercultural, the inter-religious harmony and understanding will be very much promoted. What is your opinion on this? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was really very good observation, and even also Professor Das, whatever he said, it was also, mashallah, very good. I feel that mostly we have taken religion in a dogmatic way, all of us. We are not serious about religion. We are inheriting religion and accepting it without any question, without any inquiry, nothing like that. In everything of life, we are very serious. But so far as religion is concerned, we don't care for it, whether it is superstitious, whether it is dogmatic, whether it is irrational. So, and then we fight even for those irrational things sometimes. From all the sides, I do talk about one religion. Mostly, people inherit religion blindly. And that is very, very unfortunate. But as the students of philosophy, we have to dispassionately critique their negative notions. So, and then we can come out with some better understanding of our own religion, our understanding of, and it has been done by our scholars, and we know, for example, we have Aurobindo Ghosh, Imam Ghazali, Iqbal. So see their interpretation of religion and see the interpretation of the politicians, how they use religion for political gains. And sometimes they create problems with religion rather than they solve the problems. And in this way, religion becomes the part of problem, not a part of solution. While as religion is the part of solution, it has to be. Otherwise, this is not religion at all. If religion tells me that you should kill an innocent person, then it's not religion. It is something else. Because as I have understood religion as a student of religion, studying all the religions of the world, teaching for 20 years, 30 years, I do find that we can justify any violence on the name of religion. Because of philosophy about adharma and dharma, so there is fight between these two always, and in Islam there is evil and good. But to just kill the innocent people on this name or that name, it has no justification from any religion at all, as I have understood. So that is the dogmatic approach of religion. But when you go philosophically and you study religion seriously, then you reach to the compassionate aspect of religion. And sometimes you come to the bhakti movement, sometimes tasawwuf, sometimes Vedanta, sometimes Rishism, sometimes Sufism. So this spiritual aspect of religion can be only, achieved when we have deeper understanding of the niceties and the subtleties of the religious teachings, and which are pregnant with meaning, spiritual meaning. And religion has to be used mostly for the moral and spiritual development rather than material gains. And if religion becomes a source of material, gain or material and make us a better human being, but never, rights of other people also. So in this way, whatever you said, you are right. So, but the problem with us that we study only one religion, as has been said by Max Muller, to study one religion is to study nothing. Unless and until we have the comparative study of religions, we will never become tolerant. We will just always think that we are the only right people on earth, and that creates problems, and that creates the misunderstanding. So we need to understand other religions with our religion as well, and make a comparative study, as Gandhi used to say, that we need all religions are true, but we need to study those religions. And when we study those religions, then we can appreciate, and then we can be sensible. Otherwise, we will lose the sensibilities of other people when we don't know their religion. So in this way, whatever you said, I agree with this, and also with what our Dasab has said. I'm thankful to both of you. Thank you. And we have some people from, there is one great scholar from Malaysia, Professor Abdulaziz Bargut, and also Dr. Ruma Wani. They are good scholars, and they are also philanthropic people. They are working for the humanity. So if they will also like to interact on these subjects, so that can be also very good. And Dr. Nasir Mirza also. So thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They are also requested to respond.
Sir, the thing is, we just can't accept Freudian view or the Marxian view. on religion, because religious understanding is something which we cannot do away from our life. What Freud says in his psychoanalysis, that a man makes a passive submission to the religion from the religious thing, and his psyche prompts him to corroborate the society. And you have mentioned about Malinowski. The sociologist and psychologist, they say that man is born into the society, and from there he imbibes the idea of religion. But if that is the thing, we just cannot say that it is an illusion, or it is the opium of the masses, or it is just a reflex. We cannot say this. It is something which comes from within, our encounter with the Creator. I am not created by myself, so somebody else is there who has created me. So from there, actually, the understanding of things goes beyond me. It transcends my own existence, and therefrom the idea of religion comes. So that is to be questioned, that is to be analyzed. So that is philosophy of religion. So what we want is not religion, but philosophy of religion. This is my point of view. Thank you.
Just one point I want to add here. I want to add here. I don't subscribe what our Freud has said or Marx has said, because I don't accept their theories at all. Because they don't know essence of religion. They have just tried to scientifically analyze religion, and this is not scientific phenomena at all. Religion is something personal. Religion is divine. It is spiritual. And in the Western context, when they had abandoned religion, and then they started theorizing about religion. After they had expelled God from all spheres of life, then they theorized religion. And they were not believing in the religion. Unless and until you believe in religion, you can never define religion. So in this way, our approach to religion is better. So for Eastern approaches, so that we need to highlight, rather than rely upon the Western approach, because they have not done justice with the phenomenon of religion at all when they define it. And they have tried to just define it in such a way which is not realistic, which is not true. Because we know religion is not deeper than that, what is they said. It is just touching our soul, our heart, our spirit. It is not a phenomenon only, it is nomina, as we can the term from Kant. It talks about nomina, only not about phenomena. In this way, their understanding of religion is very cursory. But so far as understanding of the scholars of religion, mystics is concerned, and the prophets, we believe that religion has come from God, all parts of the world. It is not man-made. It is not a man-made construct. It is God has sent it. And we believe that in every country, God has sent his prophets. And they have preached that gospel of truth. And for that reason, we find similarities in religion, rather than different as we find in philosophy. But so far as your point is concerned, that philosophy of religion, that's good. Within our own traditions, we need to have a philosophy of religion that is known in Arabic as Asrar-i-Din. Imam Ghazali and Shahullah Dalvi of India, he has explained what are the wisdom behind different type of belief systems of Islam and practices. We need to show also the wisdom, rather than just, this is dogmatic, this is ritualistic. No. Why we do this? There should be some wisdom. There's some reason. It should be not, without any explanation or any wise explanation, whatever we do. And so that we can convince people that this is the action why we do it. For example, we are keeping fast today. There is a wisdom which has been given to fast, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you may be fearful to God. You will fear God in absence of people, when you are not among the people, because you believe that God is seeing you. So that you may get a training of God-fearing, God consciousness. So every religious practice has some wisdom behind. And that is philosophy we need to highlight. Thank you.
Professor Marazi,
Sir.
hello. One minute, sir.
Hey,
Sir, please wait. Sir.
Okay.
Professor Maraji, what I was saying, that the real purpose of human life is lost by both religion and philosophy of religion. That was my point. Philosophy of religion is better than religion, because in philosophy of religion we have a scope for understanding the limits of religions. But by mere comparison, by mere criticism, by mere understanding the religious concepts, that can't help us any type of transformation. Because we should know realize our essence. The great seers, they don't philosophize. They don't have any analysis at all. Because that is the mystic experience. What I am, who I am, what is my essence. That cannot be philosophized, that cannot be explained by any theory, because every theory has its contradictory counterparts. Okay, so man should be free from both ritualistic dogma and also theoretical dogma. Philosophy of religion is a rational approach to religion, that is good. But again, man is trapped by rationality. So that I mean to say that only. So how do you respond to this, sir?
Sir, basically, you're right. When we just try to theorize everything, then we lose the essence of that thing at all. Because it means that we are taking positions and we are taking sides and we want to justify whatever we are doing. And that is not philosophy of religion at all, in my view. I feel that let us be objective and realistic and experience the things ourselves. And then talk about our feelings and experiences rather than give justifications this thing or that thing. As Ghazali has said, Kana ma kana mimma lastu azkuru. Khazanil khair wala tasal anil khabar. When I left the expressions and I went for the experiences, I found that trace of the truth. And then I could not describe that.
Yes,
This is
sir.
indescribable, indefinable. And you feel that. And you make others to feel about that exuberance or
Very
that
nice.
experience.
Very nice.
And
Very
when you
nice.
get that experience, people get influences. Definitely. So this has been the way of the saints and Sufis. They have influenced people from the vibrations rather than the articulations.
Very
Their
nice.
vibrations come, and then the exuberance they influences people rather than the expressions.
Thank you.
You're right. You're right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Senior.
Sir, Professor Sir, with the due respect to you, I would like to say a few points because
Yeah.
that is a wonderful presentation about the philosophy of religion from your perspective. And what Mr. Professor Pramod Sir was trying to, speak about is, I think it is analytical philosophy than the regular philosophy of religion. He wanted to have the analytical examination of the philosophy of religions, as also Professor Ranjit Kumar said the same thing, to probe into the philosophy of religion is my, interest. That is what I understand. So in that respect, philosophy of religion purely summarizes about the various aspects existing between various religions. But the analytical philosophy goes deep inside in making a thorough probe or investigation, whether it is on rational basis or irrational basis. That's a different issue. Supposing you take it, for example, the question of whether God exists. How could it be analyzed? From your perspective, whether it can be analyzed, segmented through Islamic perspective, which they say unitary being, which is Allah, the most magnificent and merciful, and let peace be upon him. Whereas the Christian view of God is Trinity, which is driving towards one force. The Jews also accept the same thing as that of Islam, but one thing they differ is they don't accept the preachings of Muhammad, the representative of Allah, the most magnificent. This is how I am a little bit rather tossed and I am finding it very difficult to understand the difference between the ordinary philosophy of religion and the rational philosophy or the analytical philosophy. I would like to have your view on that, sir, please.
Yeah, mashallah, very good question, and mashallah, you have just presented this question in a very nice way. For example, when we take religions from the same root, that is Semitic religions, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, they believe in Abraham as the father of their prophets, because they are known as Abrahamic religions as well. But you said rightly that even their belief about God seems different. But if you ask me as a student of religions of the world, and especially Islam and Christianity and Judaism, I can tell you that if we go deeply the Torah and the Gospel and the Quran, you will find so many similarities, and you will find that basically many things were common. And then if you extend that to the Aryan religions, you will go to Gita, you will go to Upanishads, you will go to other books like Vedas. There you will find several similarities as well. It seems that basically the origin of all the religions had been one and the same. But with the passage of time, interpretations have come up. And as has been said that, words kill and interpretation save. Sometimes interpretations kill and words save. If we go back to the words and the actual text, then you will find so many similarities. And we need to go for the similarities. And so far as the philosophy of religion is concerned, that will help us in many ways. But as religious people, if we are believing people, we need to dispassionately study other religions and try to see what has been their experience, as was the way of Vivekananda. He has, and Gandhi as well, they studied other religions also. And Muslims also studied other religions. And then they came out with a different understanding of those religions. Rather than when we when we found our understanding of the religions on the basis into their books, and you see the
I think there is a network problem. Sir, Sulu, sir. Yes, please.
Hello. Yes, I shall speak only one sentence.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, we should go beyond both philosophy and religion, because both of them trap us. Okay? Philosophy traps us, religion also traps us. Therefore, in Jaina system, it is said there are anekavada, many views, many philosophers, many views. Which view is correct? Do you think that Shankaracharya's view is the last view? The view of Ramanuja is the last view? Philosophy is just an interpretation. So that can't help us. So we should realize the truth. So the great seers, they have emphasized upon the realization of the truth. Okay.
Excuse me. There is a marked difference between monotheism and polytheism. How do you interpret that?
I could not understand.
See, the monotheism of existentialism and the polytheism of God.
Polytheism.
Polytheism.
What does it mean?
Polytheism is
Many
various. Many.
Believe in many gods. Oh, that is another problem. Even that is another problem. If your existence is rooted in any type of a belief, then you are dogmatic. So that is not the real purpose of life. You don't spoil your entire life with any belief, with any conviction, with any philosophy, with any religion. Don't do that. If you want to become really religious, religious means we have to understand the essence, the universal essence, which is common to all human beings, irrespective of the differences. No Hindu, no Muslim, no Christian, no difference at all. No caste, no color, no creed, even no animals, no plants. Everything is one. We have to understand that. If we really understand that and we live accordingly, then we can claim that yes, I am religious. Otherwise, I am not religious. I may be a philosopher. I may belong to one particular community. Means the any particular institutional religion. Okay.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. You are invoking the principle of Vasudevi Kudumbakam.
That is, you see, we have to understand the concept of Eko Aham Bahusyam. That means we are one, but we are many at the same time. Everything, as Pramod Babu is referring. So we have to understand that we should not confine religion only to God. We should discuss religion without God, because religion has many things to be manifested. It is associated with our lives in such manners. Even if we do not discuss about God, let us bring Wittgenstein here. If we cannot talk about God. So we cannot. We should keep ourselves silent about God. But still, religious principles will operate, and we have to think about the humanistic values, everything from the religious perspective. That is religion.
Angel sir, we are contesting between each other. Each other means between one religion to another religion. We are searching God either in temple or in Moscow or in different platforms. We forget to search God in everything and being. Isarasam idam sarvam. This is not for Hinduism. This is for everybody. So we have to realize that. And the Professor Marazi is speaking that since 1 hour. He is speaking that. He is speaking that we should not be trapped by ritualism, nor by only theorization. Philosophy of religion is better, but that is not the ultimate goal of life.
Sir, in practice, is it practically possible? Is it practically possible?
That is the real purpose of life. And if it is not possible, then life is not worth living. That life is not worth living. That means you live your life like animals. As they live. Now, you means everybody. You mean, you doesn't mean you. You mean any ignorant person who is living without understanding themselves, he is living like an animal, like a plant, who does not have any sense of existence. Being a human being, if we claim that we are really rational,
So there comes.
then we should have that understanding.
Yes, I accept.
Otherwise we can't
Yeah,
sit
you're right, sir.
Sir, I accept what all you say, but in practical life, it is highly impossible to behave in that manner. That is what my perception goes.
Yes, that is not impossible. It is difficult. It is difficult.
Very difficult, sir.
It may be very difficult, but not impossible. Not impossible.
But you know, but yes, I want to add one.
Sir?
I want to add one point. Basically, sir, as Krishnamurti ji has said rightly, I think that if we are not able to understand what is the actual purpose of religion and our life, so then we have wasted our life in this world. So he's right in this way. Professor Das is right that we have to work for their understanding of the purpose of life and how religion can help us in understanding that purpose. And for that reason, we may have to study a lot and we have to strive out. And this is the worth doing. We should do this. And without that, there is no purpose of our life. It should not be only theorization. It should be realization. Realization and experience is more important than expression and discussion and articulation. And it has been said in one of the traditions of the Muhammad. He says that when man becomes mature, he leaves the futile discussion and discuss superfluous. So in this way, religion can help us in order to reach our spirituality, and that is the purpose of religion. Basically, thank you.
That means you mean to say that the essence and purpose of life is more important than having the knowledge of God, because or Allah. Because the thing is, those things are the bone of contention, and for that reason we are keeping ourselves away from the main purpose of religion, because we do not become self-searcher. Rather, we try to accept certain things and we fight over that in between us. So that is the problem. Self-searching is more important in religion. So if you can search yourself, then that is the Atmanambidhi is possible only when you search yourself. Thank you.
Sir, hello, sir. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is discussed very well that we should follow our Swadharma. We should respect our respective religions. That is no problem. If I am a Hindu, I should respect Hinduism. But at the same time, I should respect all others. That is the essence of that is the goal of life. If without respecting the differences, I am only confined to my group, then the whole life is lost. That means nothing is attained. Nothing.
Pramod Kumar sir, may I just intervene?
Yes, ma'am.
I think life is very simple, and we only complicate it by discussing things which are only meant to be guides for us. All the holy books are basically a guide to how to live our life. So life is so simple, and whatever book we may read, whether it be the Mahabhagavatam with the Gita teachings, of course, or it be the Holy Quran or the Bible, they are only guidelines for us to live our life. And therefore, when we say that we have to respect, I would, if I have the permission, I would rather use the word accept.
Yes, ma'am.
Whether there be respect or not, that is again very personal, But if we accept, then humility, each one's existence on this earth, each human being.
Very nice.
And as we already have discussed, that otherwise it is an animal life. And as our granthas and all the holy books teach us, being born, being diseased, following our last sex life, that is for procreation, and death. These are common to all creatures. It's only we, the human beings, who have this higher sense of existence.
Very nice.
And therefore, whether you see, actually it is a supreme personality. And because our vocabulary is so weak, we do not know. If we are talking in Sanskrit, we might say Ishwar, we might say Bhagwan. If you are talking in English, we might say God. If you are talking in Arabic, we'll say Allah. If we are talking in Gurmukhi, we might say Vaheguru. But at the same time, we have to appreciate that actually because we don't have the right word for that supreme personality, therefore we are using all these words, And at the end of the day, religion is a very personal thing. That personal journey which we are making, the personal journey, the independent, individual journey from here to our death, religion is that. And therefore the great saint of Pune, Dada J.P. Vaswani once said, he asked, religion? ? Let us talk of it less and practice more. Because when we practice the religion that we have read, then automatically we are learning humility and we are learning to accept the existence of our fellow people, and then we go beyond. Unfortunately, people are in positions where they exploit our emotions, our emotional bondage with our religion. It's very unfortunate. But that also, I think, we get carried away because you see, we are keeping our feet on two separate boats. One is the boat of my personal life. Of course, my personal life has to go with the social norms. We have to go by the social norms also because we live in a society. But my religion should be my personal thing. It should be for my internal journey. And it should be for the hereafter. Whether I believe in rebirth, whether I believe in resurrection, whether I believe in the day of judgment, does not matter. It is this journey that has to be meaningful. And therefore, the philosophies and all, dogmatics and all that have to be accepted. You see, I'm sure Professor Marazi has already spoken of it as he has told us, and all of us who are on this platform today, I'm sure we've read all the religions. And we find that every religion is saying the same thing. Unfortunately or fortunately, it came as Lord Krishna said, yada yada. Whenever there is something wrong, I will be coming. So maybe when the Kurukshetra was to happen, he came as Krishna. Before that, of course, we know Ramayana had already happened. And then 2020 years ago, 22 years ago, we needed Christ. So the Christ came in. And then 1400 years ago in Arabia, things were not working out. So our holy prophet, peace be upon him, had to come, right? So it's just the same philosophy coming from, the way of life, coming from the Supreme Personality at different times for different kind of situations. But the basic truth is the same. We are all here on planet Earth. We are here to just live, enjoy, follow, understand. After all, God has created the world for us, the universe for us. So let us enjoy, let us be happy. What are we fighting about, It's so simple, but unfortunately complicated. Thank you so much. It's wonderful having heard all of you. Thank you.
It's not a question of fighting.
Okay,
It's
okay.
only exchanging ideas.
Hello, Professor. Okay. Thanks so much, Professor Pramod. So today we have a very great session. We are grateful to our learned viewers, the way they have put their observation on both the talks. And we cannot forget the way Professor Ranjit Ghosh has put his observation. He always liberates us from any type of confusion or questions that we are facing. And we must offer a gratitude to Dr. Avinash, Professor Srinivasan Krishnamurthy for putting their good remarks and observation. And today Dr. Ruma Varmi is with us. And the way she has put her observation that acceptance of humility or acceptance of essence of religion is very praiseworthy, and which leads us to move towards Supreme Personality, to learn to go beyond. It is very praiseworthy. And today in Mirza and Hariya Bhatt and other viewers are with us. They have made this evening very meaningful, and we offer our gratitude to them. We must offer our gratitude to Dr. Raj Purohit sir for his timely deliberation on Triguna theory. He has been continuously blessing us by his wisdom, deep understanding and practical application of Triguna theory in our practical lives. And today we have with us Professor Marazi. We offer gratitude to him for sharing his wisdom with us. He has tried to provide us a clarity on religion and philosophy of religion and the problems that we are facing in understanding different religious concepts. We offer gratitude to Professor Marazi, his great presence with us. And we offer a gratitude to all the participants with us. But how to offer my thanks to Professor Pramod? How to thank the admin? How to thank the host, the convener, the main, the real architect of philosophy family, who had suffered a lot for making more than 200 webinars successful, and which always benefiting us by connectivity of learned speakers of our country and abroad to strengthen our knowledge, to strengthen our dimension of thought. Today, he has put his very brilliant observation on both the speakers. I don't want to offer my gratitude to Professor Pramod. With this, once again, I offer my gratitude to all the question raisers, to the speakers, to the participants to be with us in this August academic platform. Over to Professor Pramod Das for ending the session.